Hi everyone, if you're new here, my name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I live here in the UK. And if you're not new here, hey, how's it going? I think it's supposed to rain today. A big part of my YouTube channel is like, what does it mean to be British? What does British even mean? And one of my favorite ways to learn about British culture is through British comedians, British humor. Honestly, there's nothing else like it. And today we are checking out Greg Davies. So have a seat, get cozy, put your feet up. Greg has been just about everywhere when it comes to like comedy shows, panels, and what have you. So we're just going to have a peruse around the internet, watch some best of clips. If you have a favorite Greg Davies moment, leave a comment down below. But otherwise, I hope you're doing well. Let's get comfortable. Scooch this down a bit if you don't mind. And let's start off with him on Mock the Week.
Teaching. Who wants to come in on that? Greg.
I was a teacher for many, many years, ladies and gentlemen, and I knew the day I had to leave teaching, it was simple because a very clear sign was given to me that I should leave the profession by a child, because a child walked into my lesson 20 minutes late. I was a very strict teacher. I was livid, yeah? I was almost as mad as if that child had been running in the school corridor, right? I thought, I am having this little bastard. I am having this. So I gave him my most ruthless teacher stare when he walked in, something like... Maybe not that sexually aggressive. I was furious. I went, oh, really? Oh, really? And I could see that child didn't give a shit, right? And I thought, oh, no, this is the end of my teaching career. And I went, where have you been? And he went, yeah, sorry, sir. I went, really? Are you? Well, where the hell have you been for 20 minutes? And I promise you, that child looked me in the face and went, yeah, sorry, sir, I've been living la vida loca. What can you say to that? I said, fair enough, sit down. Anyone who quotes Ricky Martin at me, ladies and gentlemen, is a friend for life. Well done, Greg.
Now, I love Taskmaster. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Just a beautifully funny, simple, genuine show. Do you know what I mean? So maybe we can watch some bits of that. Because obviously he's the host of that. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen Taskmaster, what are you doing? But I do know that Greg Davies was a teacher originally. I remember he brought up a story. I don't remember the story specifically. This is absolutely not helpful, but I remember him talking about it on a previous show. I can only imagine the type of material you get having been a teacher. I've not been a teacher, but I've worked in schools. That was kind of like my first few jobs. I was like in the administration of a school. You see a lot of stuff. Okay, I've jumped ahead a little bit. Things you wouldn't hear at a school assembly. Again, having been a teacher, I can only imagine. Let's find out.
Here at a school assembly.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting, boys and girls. I've just had a shit the size of a baby seal. A wise man once said, boys and girls, that if you try your hardest, you can fulfill your dreams. Generally, that's true. Not for you, though, Tom. You can't read. So...
Topic is unlikely things to hear on a TV talent show.
You're right. I can't sing. Thanks. Yeah, my father has taken fatherhood in a very strange direction in the last few years. And it started about 3 years ago at Christmas when he announced to me, and this is a quote, and all of what I'm about to tell you is entirely real. This happened. He said to me, son, I am 72. I said, I'm aware of that. He said, yes. I've decided from now on I shall start behaving exactly as I see fit. And I said, well, I would welcome that. He said, I'm glad you agree, because when you come home for Christmas, you'll discover this year that I am wearing a Christmas outfit. I went, all right then. I got home, and true to his word, he was wearing a Christmas outfit. I swear to you, it was one giant pair of white underpants that stretched from his knees to just below his nipples, and a novelty Santa hat with a flashing bulb on the end. And he came downstairs, and this is a quote, do you like? I said, I find it a bit challenging. He said, I don't give a shit what you think. And he went off to eat some cheese. I went out that night with some of the people in my hometown. Midnight, anticipating me coming home, my mother tells me he did this. He went upstairs in his panter outfit. He went to my mother's sheet drawer, for she has one. He took out a double white sheet. He placed that over his head. He went out into their garden and he hid in a bush. with a view to giving me, his then 40-year-old son, a bit of a scare. Presumably, my mother is so sick of his shit, she decided not to tell him something that she full well knew, that on that occasion, I'd stayed over at a friend's house.
That's incredible. I genuinely would have loved Greg as a teacher. I can imagine he was the best. This is the strangest episode of Taskmaster I've ever seen. One thing that's funny about being a foreigner in the UK is when you first move here, you have no real connection to pop culture. Like, I thought I knew British TV shows and like British actors and stuff, but when you get here and you turn on the TV and, you know, I had never heard of Would I Lie to You, I had never heard of any of these comedians. You go into it like totally blind. And it's funny now looking back on some of these shows that I would have watched having no idea what was going on. And like, I love What I Lie to You. That's one of my favorite comedy panel shows now. It's just, we've come a long way. But that was probably where I first saw Greg Davies, would be on these sort of like random appearances on various shows. I didn't start watching Taskmaster until like quite further along in its sort of like history, I guess. Like, I didn't watch it when it first started. Definitely not. I want to say I might have started like season 7 or 8, but I love it. That's kind of where I know him now, is Taskmaster, having watched the seasons. And I actually got my mom hooked on that show too. So she watches it in Canada every time it comes around. Anyway, I don't really know what this rant was for, but let's watch a little bit of Greg on Would I Lie to You. Personally, I think my favorite, funniest British comedy panel show. Humble opinion, leave a comment down below. If you had to pick one comedy panel show, Taskmaster doesn't count because I would consider that to be like a game show. But if you had to pick one comedy panel show, what would you pick? I'd pick Would I Lie to You.
Once invented a language so I could speak to my sister in secret. I even gave this language its own name.
What's the name of the language?
It is not a word that you will have heard of, and the word is cushion.
Cushion. What?
Yeah.
So
Cushion.
like cushion, but cushion.
Yeah.
And could you say something in cushion?
Yesh.
What? Could you say something more? Is that what yes is in cushion?
I didn't claim that the language was sophisticated. I would say you're arbitrarily adding a sort of shk sound.
So do a sentence.
Okay. Ashk mench. Ashk amshk.
Oh my god.
It's obviously been a long time since you...
I lashkli am in joishking the experience of Would I Lash to You.
You sound like the chef on Sesame Street.
I think this could be real. I remember I invented a language at one point, and I was gonna actually create its own dictionary. I didn't, obviously. It's a lot harder when you sit down and think about, yeah, I'm gonna invent my own language. But I did have one, so I could totally see this being a thing. And the fact that it's you're just adding a sound effect to normal words. It's kind of like Pig Latin, really.
If it's so simple, what did I say then?
You said I am loving the experience of Would I Lie to You.
No, I didn't. I said I'm largely enjoying the experience of Would I Lie to You. So it looks like it's not as simple as you live.
Incredible. Okay, we've jumped ahead, I think, to the end. Would I Lie to You and the BBC do not like you reacting to stuff, so we can't watch the whole thing. I think this is the answer.
It's not inconceivable.
Yeah, it's
but
not
it is
inconceivable.
unlikely.
What do you think? Truth or lie?
I think it's true.
Lie, let's do it.
Lie.
You're saying it's a lie? Okay. Greg, truth or lie?
Ishk, washk, telishk, the trushk.
Oh.
Yay! I love it. Okay, I found the beginning to another story. Here we go.
On a camping holiday in France, I invented a game my family and I couldn't stop playing. We call this game Milky Cow.
David's team.
Well, to explain the rules of Milky Cow.
That is so hard. If that is a lie, to come up with that. On the spot.
I feel I should probably start with the origin of Milky Cow. Would you?
No need, just get straight to the detailed rundown of the rules, and then we can do the background later.
Milky Cow is essentially...
Don't look at me.
It's a test of the strength of your lungs, really, because a player in Milky Cow would breathe in as deeply as they can and then breathe out whilst constantly saying the phrase Milky Cow. If you stop, then you're out. This is working, right?
Yes, yes.
So it's the person who continually says Milky Cow for the longest is the winner.
Can we play Milky Cow?
Absolutely,
Let's play it. So go on.
I'm going to... You're not going to ask me, so I'm going to tell you the origins because it's relevant. My sister saw a lady on the same chalet area in the south of France.
Yeah.
And she was a perfectly normal-looking girl, but my sister said, "Look at that Milky Cow." And when we all looked at her, she had quite bovine features. Every day we saw her, and Milky Cow became exaggerated every time we saw her. So the first time we saw her, my sister went, "Look at that Milky Cow." We all went, "Oh." And maybe on the third or fourth day...
Yeah.
My sister just naturally went, Milky Cow.
Okay, it's absolutely ridiculous. However, when you are a kid and you start saying something funny, I can see that to be a thing.
And then we all started driving past her and going, Milky Cow. And as the days went on, it became Milky Cow. Eventually... Oh, I've been on this show for 5 minutes, I already feel insane. Eventually, it became a test of who could say the longest. Right. So, do you want to...
Of course.
Play?
Well, you say that it's addictive, so I imagine if I start now, I'm off.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe we'll stop playing Would I Lie to You? It'll be like a footnote in the history of the incredibly successful television programme Milky Cow. For the first 11 or 12 series, it was another game called Would I Lie to You? What's the point in all those lies and truths? Let's just all go, they'll kick out. Hours and hours and hours, because it turns out to be the most entertaining and addictive thing you can imagine, and heroin sales will go through the floor.
You know what? We haven't done a video about David Mitchell. Put a pin in that. Okay, let's see if it's true or a lie. I think it's true because, you know, you're being silly as a kid. And maybe he was playing up the idea of trying to come up with it. You know, some people do that. They're very good actors. I am going to say it's true.
I think it's unlikely to be true.
Yes, agreed.
Are you saying lie?
You happy to go lie?
Yeah, of course, You're trying, yeah.
Okay, you're saying lie. Right, Greg.
Lie.
Milky
Lie.
Cow.
Yes.
The south of France. A mobile chalet. Truth or lie?
Well, I am delighted to introduce Milky Cow to the national stage, because it's true.
I'm so good at this. Greg and Bob Mortimer are similar when it comes to unlikely but true stories. This is absolutely true. I love Bob Mortimer. So funny. He's one of those people that he'll tell a story that I think his stories are the most bizarre out of any contestant that I've seen. And like 80% of the time it's true. So you can't even like judge it based on, oh, like in reality that would never happen. No, it happened to Bob. So... David's ramble about Milky Cow gets me every time. Okay, since we've done Mock the Week and Would I Lie to You, I know Greg has some stand-up. I want to say there was one with Netflix. Netflix is never going to let us react to that. I mean, I could react to it. You'll just never see this video. But perhaps we do some Taskmaster bloopers. I think that would be fun. That's so funny. While I'm filming this, I just got an email that one of my older videos I did reacting to Frankie Boyle that has now been copyright claimed. Copyright claimed. Mock the Week has copyright claimed it. Even though it's an older video. Okay, love that. Anyway, obviously there's a lot of seasons, or I guess series, of Taskmaster. I want to say we're up to like 18 or 19 or something crazy. This is series 16 outtakes. I want to do outtakes because I have watched all the shows, even though I probably don't remember all of them. There's a lot of episodes. But I think if we do the outtakes, I wouldn't have seen these. And maybe you haven't either. I hope.
Where did you get it from?
I love her.
This is going to shock you, but we put that blindfold in that can.
Can you do that
Yeah.
with cans? But did you take it to a factory to do that?
We took one can to a factory, yeah, and they did that for us.
Yeah.
Wow. So, big budget, yeah.
Money. We took each of the 5 cans to a different factory.
In a different
One of them was
continent.
in Lisbon. Fuck it. Lucy, I don't know why. Gut instinct
I
tells
love
me that
Lucy.
you're going to deliver.
And Sam
Got a
Campbell.
bum table in or anything
Well-
with a bum.
That's against you already.
But I do have a candle of a bottom if you want it.
I'll take it, yes.
It's
Off your hands.
their bum cheeks look just like those ones.
Oh, it would
as
go
well.
lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think Julian's trying to get rid of... trying to get rid of...
No, I haven't moved on from bums. Very set in my ways, Greg.
So these are all meant to be gifts that they were given that raise questions. Who gave you a quiche Lorraine as a gift?
No, I made it.
So it's a gift to yourself, which is fine.
Yeah, oh, fine, yeah, no.
Start believing in yourself. It's fine to self-gift.
I'll note it down.
You bought yourself that jacuzzi, didn't you, that you don't like talking about? He doesn't like talking about it. Oh, I'm just little Alex all humble. No, he's like sitting in a fucking jacuzzi. Quaffing champers.
I've got an urge. Can I do one more thing?
Yeah.
Can you shut your eyes?
Yeah, OK.
It'd be funny.
They work so well together, too.
Oh, that is funny, isn't it? That's a funny start to the show. Sort of takes away my authority a little bit, doesn't it? And believe me, after the show, Alex will pay dearly for that. Mentally, and more pertinently, physically. So...
You're going to keep them on, are you?
Yeah, we'll give them a go. Give the editor something to think about.
That's incredible. Oh, I just feel like we can watch so much. Let's see what else we can find. Of course, he was also on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. Fun fact that's probably not fun to anybody. When I first moved here, I didn't have a job, so I was like at home applying for jobs all day, watching a lot of like daytime television while I was doing it. You know, you got the TV on, you're applying. And I saw 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown reruns, obviously, daytime reruns. And I didn't realize that this is like a spin-off show of Countdown, because this is the first one I saw. So then like a year later I saw Countdown and I was like, wait a second. Anywho, let's watch a bit of this before this video also gets blocked. Okay, I just jumped ahead. There was like a big long intro. Here we go. For real this time.
Do you think John will make a good teammate?
Yes, I do.
Thanks, mate.
No worries, mate.
What? Why?
I just I like a
Sean.
little small guy. I like people that I could sort of just hold, like, oh.
Isn't Greg like 6 foot something crazy?
Well, you're not that much bigger than John, are you?
What? Are you all right, Jimmy? Of course I am. I can carry John out of this room like a rolled-up carpet.
I spot it is John's on a chair and Greg's sitting on the floor.
This got sent to my home address, this pottery gorilla. There was no letter with it, it was just in a package. And a year later, I'd just done a gig, and I met some people after the gig and was chatting to some of the people who'd been to see the show.
Handing them the money.
Giving them money,
Yeah.
back, yeah. And I walked...
Also, side note, have you ever seen him live? I can't say that I've seen like notices of him going on tour or anything, but I definitely would if I could. Leave a comment down below. Have you ever seen him live? Sorry for the interruption. One more interruption. I also have a video on Jimmy Carr that currently is not copyright claimed, so maybe check that out when we're done here.
Hey, Jimmy, a woman just came up to me and went, did you get your gorilla? And it had been like 12 months before, and I went, oh, God, yeah, I did get a gorilla through the post. Yeah, was that you? And she went, thought you might like that. Then she walked off.
Wow.
I'm scared shitless. I genuinely think she's gorilla woman's going to kill me. So.
I think the thing to do with a potential psychopathic killer is to remember them and mention them on telly.
Greg, what's your 8?
All right. We could just keep going. If you have a British comedian that you think I should check out, please leave a comment down below. Leave a comment down below anyway. Comments actually do help a channel. Not sure if you're aware, but if you aren't, just letting you know. YouTube loves it when you leave comments on videos. I would prefer it to be a nice comment, but honestly, beggars can't be choosers. If you like to watch something else right now, which also YouTube likes, if you watch one of my videos after watching this video, guess what? YouTube loves that, and so do I. Check out my Jimmy Carr video. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!